Just because you understand the basics of tapping doesn't mean you know how to use it every single day. What I'm going to share with you right now is how I tap every single day over the course of my day, over the course of the week, to give you some guidance so that now that you have this super powerful tool, it's going to make it even easier for you to create some transformation in your life. Hi, my name is Gene Monterastelli. I'm the editor of Tapping Q&A, and welcome to another question and answer video where we answer some of the most common questions and uncommon questions so you can get the most out of tapping and EFT so you can create transformation in your life. Recently, I sent out to my subscribers and my readers to ask a question, and I had 5 different people ask some version of the question that we're going to answer today. I'm going to read 3 of those questions for you just to kind of set up the conversation. So the first version was, what does your current tapping practice look like, and how has it evolved over the years? Second version of the question is, could you give us some guidance on when to tap without words, tap with our own words, or use a pre-recorded tap along? And the third version of it is, how long do you usually tap? And do you have a personal minimum or maximum when tapping? This is such a great question because tapping is not an approach. Tapping is a tool. And what I mean by that is tools we can use lots of ways. Like a knife is a tool, and I can use that tool to cut sushi, to cut a cord, to whittle a pipe out of wood, to do surgery. But just because the knife can be used for all of those things, the techniques are not exactly the same, and the people who should be doing it are not the same. It's appropriate for me to be cutting up my lunch. It's less appropriate for me to be cutting up someone's stomach to help them with an appendicitis. And so there are a number of different ways with that framework in which I engage with tapping. So there are 4 primary ways I tap every single week, and many of these ways of tapping I do every single day. And so I'm just going to share with you how I approach all of this stuff. Then when we're done with that, we'll talk about practitioner using audios tapping on our own. So we'll do those 2 things back to back. So number 1, ways that I tap regularly. So the first way that I tap every single morning is I tap between 3 and 10 minutes, depending on the day, of doing wordless tapping. And it is exactly that. I sit here, I take a nice big deep breath, I scan through my body, and I literally just move from tapping point to tapping point. I set a timer on my watch and I just let it go. And I'm present to what is going on. I'm present to what is going on. And I'm just tapping, and I'm just tapping, and I'm just tapping, and I'm just tapping. And that works really, really well. While I'm doing that, I always have a pen and some paper nearby so that I can take notes, so that if an issue comes up, if a piece of inspiration comes up, if an idea comes up, I just quickly jot that down, because I would like to believe that I'm going to remember these really insightful things. But I can be saying something out loud and a client will say, Gene, can you repeat that? And I'm like, no, I can't. It's just come and gone that quickly. And so I think it's just as important when we are tapping that when things come up, we write that down. So version number 1 is wordless tapping. Version number 2 of tapping that I do every single day is I tap on my to-do list. Now, the way it works is I have a list of everything that I would like to do over the course of the day. And basically, all I do is I look at the task, I imagine myself doing the task, and then I see if there's any resistance inside of me. Now, if it's something easy, like, make sure you drop the water bill in the mail. Super easy, there's no resistance to that. If it's something more challenging, where there might be stakes, like, hey, go ask this person to joint venture you on this thing, or go make this new offer to someone, well, I'm going to get a little queasiness in my stomach around that. I pay attention to it. And so then the version is, so I imagine myself sending the email asking for help. I tune into my system. I notice, well, in this case, there's tension in my solar plexus. Then once I have that physical sensation, I ask it 2 questions. What are you afraid of? What proof do you have that that is true? And so whatever comes up, I tap on that. So by tapping on everything on my to-do list, the things that I have stated that I want to do today now all feel emotionally safe, and it's going to be much easier for me to act. So wordless tapping, tapping on my to-do list. Number 3 is the tapping I do to reset myself during the day. And so anytime I feel like I am not in the best resource state I can be in. And so when I say resource state, I mean, how do I feel in my physical body? What is my energy level? What are the emotions that I'm feeling? So I can have a creative resource state. I can have an overwhelmed resource state. I can have a depressed resource state. I can have a tired resource state. I can have a hungry resource state. All of those things are going to impact me. So as my day unfolds, anytime I feel off, Or anytime I get up and I come back to my desk, like I've refilled my water, or I've gone to the bathroom or something like that, I train myself when I sit back down. Great. How do you feel in this moment? Let's do what we can to resource ourselves. So we're doing one small first action, so the actions that come after are the best actions. So wordless tapping, tap on my to-do list, tap to deal with whatever is going on in the day. And then number 4 is typically twice a week, usually one weeknight and then sometime on the weekend. And then if I'm working with my practitioner, it happens during the day, during the week, because that's when he's available. But at least once a week, but most often twice a week, I set aside between 20 and 60 minutes to do that big picture type of tapping, or I recognize, oh, I am feeling insecure, or I have an upper limit issue, or there's something I'm trying to change big in my life that's more than just doing what's on my to-do list. So there, I set aside time to go after those big things. Because if I am sitting here at my desk and I'm trying to do the things that are in front of me as the day is going on, and all of a sudden I take 45 minutes to deal with something from my past about something that's big picture, maybe clearing that is useful, but it's going to disrupt the rest of my day. So if I can, I set those times aside. Weeknight in the evening, sometime on a weekend, do tapping in that particular regard. So that is the way that I structure it. Now, for the amount of time, for the first 3 versions of it, tapping without words, I set a timer on that. Again, it's between 3 and 10 minutes between on the day. Tapping on my to-do list and tapping to change my resource state, I do that as long as it takes. If I'm tapping on my to-do list, typically tapping on my to-do list doesn't take more than 10 minutes. Resetting my resource state typically doesn't take more than 90 seconds. Now, when it comes to those longer sessions, the answer is it depends. Because just because it's good for me to run 10 miles doesn't mean it's 10 times better for me to run 100 miles. Like, there's a physical capacity to what I am capable of doing and how I engage with the things that are in front of me. And so, depending on the issue we have, like some days, because of the type of workout that I'm doing, I can work out for 60 minutes. And some days, because of the type of workout I'm doing, I can only do it for 20. And sometimes, because of my resource state, it impacts that sort of stuff. And I saw the most extreme example of this years ago. I was in Peru and was asked by a friend to help out another friend who had real struggles. And he had a horrific childhood. Horrific doesn't even begin to describe what's going on. I'll spare you the details because you don't need to hear those things. And so I went to meet with him. I asked him what was going on. I asked him if he wanted to feel better. He said yes. We did 90 seconds of tapping. At the end of 90 seconds of tapping, he drank 64 ounces of water and then promptly climbed into bed and reported the next day that he slept for 13 hours. Because there was so much to move, there was a physical capacity to what is going on. One of the things that has changed about me over time as a practitioner is the fact that I recognize that I would rather go safe, slow, long-term change than something that is quick. And so if I get the inkling that I have reached my physical capacity, or if I'm getting the inkling that I'm getting close to the physical capacity of a client that I'm working with, we're done. We're going to stop. We're going to reset. We're going to come back later. Yes, it would be great for me to be able to take care of everything right now, but in almost every circumstance, after I finish tapping, there are other things I need to do. I have other responsibilities. I have other ways that I need to be present, and it'll wipe me out too much. And so I'm going to find the edge. I'm going to find what's comfortable, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to go slow, and I'm going to go gentle. Now, the last part of the question is, when do we tap without words, tap with a tapping script, come up with our own phrases, work with a practitioner? And I'm going to give you the worst coaching answer that can ever be given, but it's the true answer. It depends. There are going to be times where it makes a lot of sense for you to be in a situation where you are just tapping without words. Sometimes when we're so close to the issue and we can't find clarity, using a tapping script that someone else has is something that's really, really useful. So the answer to the question is another question. How is it working for you? If what you are doing is working for you, awesome, keep doing it. And then give yourself permission to experiment. Maybe try it with a tapping script. Maybe try coming up with your own tapping script. Try taking one of the frameworks that I regularly teach and try it on your own. See what that feels like. But be in a circumstance where you engage with that question with a sense of safety and a sense of curiosity. How could I do this to be emotionally safe? How could I stretch myself to try something new? Because the good news is, if you're sitting there for a couple of moments thinking good healing thoughts, that's a good place for us to be. And so give yourself permission to engage in that particular way. So that is how I structure my tapping time over the course of the day, over the course of the week. You don't have to follow that. But again, find the thing that works for you as you're doing this. If you are new to tapping, the thing I would encourage you to do is tap. Don't worry about getting it right. Don't worry about getting the results. But the more time you spend with it, the more you're going to discover the approach and the way that works best for you. And your subconscious mind is just going to connect into that and is going to want to engage with that over and over again, because we love positive reinforcements. We love it when our experience gives us a little gift, gives us cookies. We're going to want to do that thing again. So just try the different things. And if you're in a circumstance where you want to try something new, but you don't feel comfortable doing it on your own, find a skilled practitioner to work with. Say, hey, I want to get better at this. Can you help me? I regularly create containers for my clients where they're like, I want to try this thing on my own, but I want to do it in a way that's safe. And so then I am there with them. They're trying something new. And then if they're getting off track, I redirect them. Or at the end of it, we process it to make them better at that particular skill. So that will make it significantly easier. So again, the place to start is to try all the different things and see the one that works best for you. If you've enjoyed the answer to this little question right here, I would really encourage you to check out our most common question series. You can see a link for that on the screen right now. These are the most common questions that I hear from my clients, from my students, and viewers just like you. But working your way through that playlist, you're going to be in a circumstance where you're going to feel so much more comfortable with your tapping, and you're going to be so much more successful. For Tapping Q&A, it's Gene Monterastelli. I look forward to talking to you again real soon.